Thanks for tuning in to this episode of I Have Something to Say, where subject matter experts are unafraid and unapologetic about sharing their perspectives regarding issues that impact our lives. They speak up because basically they give a shit. So if you're tired of canned answers and want to finally hear real people cut through the BS and talk about real issues, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Sami Jimen Marrero from Urbander, and behind our mixer is our producer, Chris Majoka from UdoU. Hi, everyone. Today is a very special day because this is a conversation that's been in the works for months and months and months. Our guest today is Erika Jefferson, and she's the founder and president of BWISE, or Black Women in Science and Engineering. And she's very busy. I know I'm busy, but she's busier. And it's been so hard to get to take this time and make this time. And so I'm very, very excited and honored to have you on the program, Erika. Welcome. How are you?
I'm good. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. I follow you as well, so this will be exciting for me too.
Yes, and I know we were talking off record about how we follow each other. I'm constantly learning from the posts that you make, and I appreciate how direct and candid you are, right? About the inequities and about the absurdities sometimes of what people are doing in these spaces, right? Especially in engineering and science, because it's so foreign to me. I mean, I'm a creative.
Right.
I work in other spaces, and so I'm always fascinated to see, your life through your lens, right? As a Black woman in engineering, and
Mm-hmm.
just seeing how you advocate for the community and present a different perspective that it makes me like, I hadn't thought about that, but it also equips me with sound bites, right?
That's
And I
right.
know you and I have never met in person, but I often find myself as like, well, my friend Erika Jefferson, the founder of
We are
BY says
we are
that,
kindred. Yes, we are kindred spirits. So even though we had not met, we
yes.
still we vibe from the same flow. So
Yes, absolutely. And so then BWISE is really a dedicated forum, right? For Black women who want to connect, and whether it's because they're currently in companies exercising roles and responsibilities within science and engineering, or they just started and they might be how do you say seeking mentors or sounding boards to be able to say, I'm experiencing this and that. Is this normal? I mean, so what exactly, right? Am I on the right track?
yes, you
And
are.
also
Yes, you are. Yes,
and
you
also
are.
advocating for them to advance, right? Because it's not easy in this
It's not.
particular industry.
It's not. It's not. So, my degree is in engineering. And, when I started many, many years ago, I, was so full of excitement and hope, on what I thought I was embarking on for a career. And it turned out not to be very much of that. Like so many of us, right? We have this, we all think we're going to work, from NASA and send rockets to the moon. And quite frankly, a lot of the work we do is very mundane. And sometimes I used to wonder, why did I take all those hard classes for this? I could have done this straight out of high school. So, we've made this investment in our careers. And yet, even though we're doing sometimes more than other folks, we're still not getting the same level of opportunities and respect. And so when I started this so many years ago, it was really a handful of folks in a particular industry that I thought I was going to reach. I had no idea that we would grow to the levels that we are, and certainly had no idea that we were going to be working with so many wonderful companies that get it right. No company is
Yeah.
perfect. There are pockets of inequity everywhere, but for folks to say, listen, we believe in what you do, and it's important. The work that you're doing is externally, right? Because I'm an external actor to these organizations, but to give folks a voice. I get so many people, who private messaged me and were like, "I'm so glad you said that," because I realized you
Yeah.
can't say these. The things that I say, you cannot and you should not say them.
Yes, we should put warning, advisory, right?
do
Don't.
not do not say similar things. Now you can share it. I think there's benefit in sharing things, so
Mhm.
that your audience sees things, because there are a lot of people who think I don't see anything wrong. It looks okay to me.
Mhm.
But I say, people, listen, I'm able to say that because I have the privilege, of having worked for many, many years. And these are stories and things that I've seen and experienced myself.
Mhm.
And then I'm an entrepreneur. So,
Yeah.
I can say these things and not have to worry about getting a call from HR.
Yeah, exactly. And so then, and it feels good, right? So then, how did you make that transition from corporate, or why? Not only how, but why to entrepreneurship and to be, in an independently run organization? To is BWISE a nonprofit, or is
It
it?
is. It
It
is. It
is.
is a
So then you
nonprofit.
you wear two hats, right? Two.
Yes.
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 Wow.
Yes. Yes. You're absolutely right. For those of us who I think if you work in industry compared maybe even to government or
Yeah.
academia, you are just brainwashed that this is all that you can do, right?
Yeah.
They want to keep workers, so they're not going to encourage folks to go out and start their own businesses. And so I was one of those. And even though BWise was booming, my network was growing, I just had a death grip. This was a couple years ago, on staying in corporate America, even though I'm over here with all these wonderful things happening with BWise and taking meetings in the broom closet. I
Mhm.
just was like, no, no, I can't. My insurance and my 401k and all that. And literally, I had to have a talk with myself. I was like, you are being treated, like Rodney Dangerfield. I ain't got no respect. You're being treated ridiculously poorly in this environment. And over at BWise, people are like wanting to carry you around the room. I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this has got to stop. I have to be, what I'm advocating for other women to be, right? True to
Yeah.
myself. And that, honestly, business wise, even because I try to tie some of the things that I say to business metrics, because I know that the people who watch that don't look like me, they only
Mhm.
understand one thing, and that's money, right?
Yeah.
And so I had to say, listen, I'm leaving money on the table. I have
Mhm.
people who are asking to work with me, right? And I'm over here, I told my manager, I'd gotten to the point before I left, I'm almost paying to work here. I don't know if you realize that. I'm almost
Yeah.
paying to work here. And that can't stand. That's not a fiscally financial responsible thing to do. Is I got to
Right.
cut my cost, I got to cut my overhead, and I got to start increasing revenue,
And the
and that
overhead's
means
this job, right?
the overhead
Exactly.
is this job. So you got to go. I'm gonna send you a nice note. Thank you for all that you've been doing for us. We appreciate you as a lot of a loyal client. Unfortunately, you've got to go. So it was hard. I think people
Yeah.
think, oh my gosh, freedom. But I would be surprised. And I think that's why there's so few folks who jump into entrepreneurship who have
Yeah.
brilliant ideas that could make,
Mhm.
a lot of money for them,
Yeah.
hesitate because it's like, I can't, it's scary. And it is. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It is scary. I know you know that.
Yeah.
It's scary.
Yes.
Certainly in the beginning, oh my God, how am I gonna pay my bills?
Yes.
But for folks who have toiled, not just toil, because entrepreneurship is not for everyone, but who have something that the world needs and you've just been
Right.
sitting on it because you were fearful. Do it. That's one of the things we want to do for 2022 is give folks the safe space to develop
Mhm.
that so they can head off and do, what the world needs them to do. So
Yes, absolutely.
scary.
So then what does your so okay, so now I'm curious. We'll get into I want to take a deep dive into Be Wise and some of the things that it's like, huh? That you comment on. So what does your business focus on? Is it in the tech space, or what
It
exactly?
I'll be honest, I was so myopic when I started. I was like, I'm just focusing on engineers. And when I say engineers, I mean chemical, mechanical, electrical,
Oh,
biomedical,
wow.
not
Yeah.
software.
Yeah.
Because I have my thoughts on that.
Yeah.
When you're in traditional engineering, so
Yes.
much overlaps, right? As a chemical engineer, I need to understand what a circuit is, what a circuit does. I need to understand
Mm-hmm.
mechanical engineers and motors and
Mm-hmm.
gears. But in software, you don't, like, literally.
Mm-hmm.
That's why, as I talk to folks, I was like, and I think I posted this just yesterday, let's be mindful of everyone's experience, because I see a lot of folks in technology kind of be like, oh, engineering is just glorified maintenance. No, it's not.
Yeah. Like,
Not.
yeah. Dismissing
Listen,
the value. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of us take all the computer science courses almost that the computer science majors do, but we still have our
Yes.
discipline too. So, what it started as was a safe place for folks to get information, share
Mm-hmm.
experiences, because I felt like, once you get into the workforce, and certainly after a couple
Mm-hmm.
years, the importance of these organizations, although they're
Mm-hmm.
wonderful organizations, kind of diminishes. Certainly after you get married, start
Yeah.
having kids. If you're talking
Yeah.
about, how to make a good impression at work, and I'm like, I have global responsibilities. I need to
Mm-hmm.
have some more information relevant to what I'm doing. So that's kind
Yes.
of how it started. It really was, just getting together for that. Like I said, I'm an engineer by education, so I don't have any training in marketing and promotion and event
Yeah.
planning and things like that. So it was a learning experience. It still is for me, as I was building BWISE.
Yes, I love it. Well, just so you know, engineering is dear to and close to my heart because my brother's a mechanical engineer, so I get what you're
Yay!
saying. And my
Yes.
sister-in-law, his wife, is a civil engineer. Yeah.
See?
So, yeah, so not tech or digital, but
Hmm.
also,
Hmm.
very like hands-on
Yes.
mechanical tangibles,
Yes.
right? Yeah. So,
Hmm.
that's awesome. One of the things that really stood out to me, and you were saying about you're not a marketer or not, but you just dove right in and did and started your business. But with regards to Be Wise, is this determination to call out or to highlight the fact that adults in engineering and adults of color in engineering, right, need
Hmm.
support too. And they need role models too, and mentorship, and all of these things. And that was one of your most recent posts. I started laughing because you said something like, it seems rather silly to focus on kids when you haven't even done anything for women already working in these spaces, right? Or in these industries. And it's so true. There's so much, and not that it's not important to create a pipeline. We have to,
Hmm.
especially with the
Hmm.
global majority shift that we're experiencing in the next
Exactly.
15 years, right? Where the
Exactly.
majority of the working population, at across all levels, from trade to, MBAs and above, right, are going to be black and brown. And that's just the
Exactly.
census. So please don't shoot the messenger, right? Um,
Exactly.
so how do we create that pipeline, but also advance and uplift
Hmm.
and provide more resources and tools to people that are already
Hmm.
working in these fields, right? And so
I think
I was reading that post and I'm like, yes, that makes so much sense. Mm-hmm.
I think people can be so narrowly focused
Mm-hmm.
on themselves and those closest to them. So I've had many folks tell me, I really don't think there's an issue in my organization, right? There's Black people,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you press them, well, how many? Well, I don't know,
Mm-hmm.
one or two. In a whole organization, you think that's equitable to have one or two. That makes sense to
Mm-hmm.
you. But we know there's things beneath the surface that I
Mm-hmm.
don't even touch on, because I'm trying to make sure that certainly at this part of what I'm doing in this phase, that I'm educating. Because if you
Yes,
anger, you can't educate, right? If you
exactly.
piss
Yeah.
people off, they're not going to listen to anything. So where some of the folks I see on LinkedIn come direct at you, right? You're racist, right? I never say
Mm-hmm.
that, even though sometimes it it is actually true. I try to come
Yes.
to the side, because you have to educate folks beyond what they see and what they believe. They have long held beliefs that there is no inequality or inequity, and all this talk around, bringing more women, people of color in is just a lot of nonsense. But
Right.
I bet if someone that they cared about went through, some of the experience that I've heard people describe, they have a different tune. I mean, some of the stories are heartbreaking when you hear, like, you did what happened to you? And so
Yes.
I advocate for those, and for myself too, because I've had some moments too where I was silent because I didn't have the fortitude to correct someone for their ignorance, but not now.
Yeah. Those days are over. I
Those
know.
days
The
are
same with
over.
I know the same happens to me, and I don't know if it's because of the older I get. I'm turning 52 next month, and to me, it's like I know at this stage of my life, it's just I can't tiptoe anymore around you and your sensitivity, sweetheart. Right? And again, I try not to be antagonistic, right? But
Hmm.
I try to be direct and clear, and I think that's why I appreciate everything that you share, because
I tell
it's
people we have the
yeah,
Google machine. We have the
yeah,
Google machine. Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
if you want to know something or you don't know something, ask the Google machine. It will tell you.
That's so funny. And so another big beef that I also have, and actually that's how I started like sitting on committees and stuff like that, because years ago here in Central Florida, one of the local commissioners was asked by a local media person, um, why haven't you, there's such a large, diverse community here, right? Why haven't you chosen a diverse person to sit on XY committee? And he says, oh,
Mhm.
because there aren't any qualified candidates. What was that for, right? And this was, I'm talking like 15 years ago, and it's really sad,
Mhm.
frustrating, and really disappointing, right? That
Mhm.
all this time has passed and we're still experiencing this, right? And so
Absolutely.
the go-to is then to ask the few people that finally, get either appointed, right? Because we
Mhm.
may then have elected officials, like here in Central Florida. Now we have some Latino and Black elected officials, which is
Mhm.
fantastic. Our mayor here in Orange
Mhm.
County is Black, right? And
Mhm.
so it's fantastic because now, all of a sudden you're sitting on this board or on this council,
Mhm.
and if
Mhm.
if you try to keep your feet on the ground, right, and not
Mhm.
let it get to your head, then you're
Mhm.
able to then bring other people along too and uplift the entire community. But then you become almost like, oh, can you help me with this, can you help me with that? And it's like, okay, I mean, this is what I do for a living, right? Like, you want me
Exactly.
to help you market, to recruit, and that's one of your recent posts too. Yeah. And so how frustrating is that for you? I mean, especially in such a niche, or not niche, but such a specialized, that's the word, such a
Yeah. Yeah.
specialized field, right?
Yeah. It used to bother me a lot, I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I let people who know me know, do not ask me to share anything. Don't ask
Okay.
me to share. You hire BWISE. Don't ask me to share. Because, and I've written about this multiple times, that's so informal and casual for something that should be so important, right?
Yeah.
If you're trying to find candidates to apply for your job so you can continue as an ongoing business and generate revenues and value for your shareholder, you're going to do something as casual as, oh, can you do this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
So, one of my other targets, people who know me know, is HR. HR. What are
Mm-hmm.
they for? I said, let me get this straight. We're going to help HR do their jobs. Then then engineering ask HR to come and help them with solving some of the problems in engineering, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe in the laboratory. Can they help out in the laboratory? What about, can they drive some trucks so that the logistics folks can solve some of their issues? It's only one, and I say this all the time, and I'm unapologetic, and there's some wonderful people in HR that are doing incredible work. God bless them. But, I tell people technology usually goes where there's a major issue. If you think about this, 10 years ago, for folks, who travel, what were some of the biggest headaches if you did not rent a car? It was finding a cab, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, the prices, they're going to rip me off or something like that. And what happened? Uber and Lyft came out of that. So the same thing is going to happen in this, because you're right, it's ridiculous. You have such important work in the recruitment of talent, and you take that so seriously that you ask strangers who don't know your company to put the word out. And I was like, I won't do that. First of all, BWISE has a brand too, right? We have a brand too. And so, if you've got a long history of discriminatory behavior, that's the last thing I'm going to do, is tell people to go work there. And so as I tell people, you get what you pay for. If you ask people to do things for free, I wrote a post about that. I don't know if that's one of the ones you saw, of why you shouldn't do that, right? If you ask people to do something for free, you can expect the quality of their work to match what you've invested, right?
Yes.
Don't ask me to do things for free. And also, we got to eat. You got to eat, right?
Yes.
So, if I do something for free, guess when it's going to come? After I've done all the paid stuff, right?
Exactly.
I'm not going to start any of that free work before I finish the work that the people have paid me to do. So
yes, absolutely. And that's something that I've had to learn, because I do a lot of, freebies. And and it's a bit challenging sometimes, because you see a good opportunity or whatever, right? And yes, you just pass it along to the person instead of passing the candidate to, and let them determine what to do with that. But it's very time consuming.
It is. Because, people don't think it is, because it's just a couple minutes. But do you know how many people ask me to do things like that in a day? And I always tell people, listen, I don't have a problem doing strategic free things that,
Yes.
I'm going to do this now and it's going to pay, off later. Or there have been, people who reached out, oh my gosh, I'm about to lose my job or something like that. Someone in dire need. Absolutely, you help those people. But if you are a $1 billion conglomerate, I'm not doing anything for you for free. Okay?
Yes.
Nothing. I had a gentleman from an automaker ask for a free sample. I said, okay, well, drop that new car off at my house, and I can keep it for a week, and I'll give you a free sample. But we've programmed people to put themselves first and everybody else last. So in his mind, he didn't see anything wrong with asking somebody who had a ongoing business and quite successful, to do something for free. And I was just like, people don't even like your cars, so I don't even.
But that's the thing. It's like it becomes like almost expected, and also how do you say, it kind of makes a blanket statement about people just in general. Like everyone wants the same thing, expects the same thing, without understanding that there are people that are like, no, this stops, that's it, this ends now, right? And so we need to start doing things a different way, because it's not working for me now, right? And so that's really great. Do you how many members, or how does BWISE work? Is it like a membership organization a platform?
So we have, sometimes I think, man, we've got a lot of different platforms. So of course we have the LinkedIn group, which is how we started. That is for our wonderful members. It's free of charge. It's, most of what I post goes in there, but it is exclusively for working scientists, engineers, technologists, or students, and our corporate partners. I think companies have figured out, I can get in there and I can post my job. No, you cannot. Your jobs will be deleted if you post your jobs and you're not a partner of ours. Like, we don't play about those things.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have, for folks who want a deeper engagement, we have what we call BWISE Premium. And so that's just like any other organization where you pay annual dues. But it
Mm-hmm.
allows, first of all, we put more things in there, right? And we're
Yeah.
working with people, and daily we're reaching out and doing things. And so it's just like any other organization that you pay for. But we're trying to, for folks who's like, I need a coach. Well, there's so few folks
Mm.
who are still, I'll say, close enough to industry or government or academia that really still want to reach out and things like that.
Yeah.
So this allows the community, right? If I can't get you one individual mentor, then the community will have to give you what you need. So
Yeah.
those are our two main things. And of course, we have a company page on LinkedIn where everyone can follow that. You don't have to,
Yeah.
and we put a lot there. And I think honestly, for what most people need or, can benefit, the company page probably captures all of that. But, we wanted a safe space for our folks, so that they can
Yeah.
say and express themselves without, first of all, judgments from people that they don't know. Like, that's why we do not
Exactly.
allow
Yes.
non-partners in our
Mhm.
BWise group, because, if you just say, oh, I want to join, and then you're lurking, for whatever reason, you're not contributing. And that's the main thing. If you're not contributing to this cause, and, our partners obviously contribute by, partnering with us. But if you're not contributing to help, then you're taking,
Yes.
right? You're looking for
Exactly.
talent, but you're not doing anything to develop any talent. So, there's enough
Yeah.
of that going on. We don't allow that.
Yes, that's great. And I think that one of the biggest things too is just, and it might sound simplistic, but to be in the company of others that
Mhm.
are maybe a little bit more advanced in their careers,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
eh, and have gone through certain experiences, and to be able to voice what you're going through, and they get
Mhm.
validation that no, you're not loca, you're not crazy. What
Mhm.
happened?
Mhm.
Yes, that
Mhm.
it's a common thing. It's very
Mhm.
helpful because it from a stress and mental health care standpoint too, because sometimes, like you mentioned before, not everybody is interested or fit or
Mhm.
has the stamina, right, to be an entrepreneur. And that's okay if you're gonna, if you're gonna
Mhm.
stay in the corporate pathway. But then to have this family,
Mhm.
because it's like extended family of people that
Mhm.
have experienced this journey and have
Mhm.
mastered how to navigate it, to be able to then it's like a hack, it's like a career hack
Exactly.
almost, right? Yeah, in
Exactly.
the sense
Exactly.
where you're
I don't.
able to, yeah.
Exactly. I don't want people to have to still go through what I went through. 20 some years after I graduated, we're still talking about the only one female graduate, or one Black female, or one Latina graduating
Yeah.
from these engineering programs. It's ridiculous. And I said,
Yeah.
we don't have to keep reinventing the wheel. We've done this already, right? And if you
Yeah.
don't have confidence to ask questions of folks, just sit and listen. Just sit and listen. How
Yeah.
many of us sat and listen to our older aunts, right, talk about
Yeah.
what happened in their lives? And we have gotten away from that, certainly. In I don't know if we ever did that in a professional setting, but it's so necessary. So much of what happens that's unfair is, it's just repetitive. They're not even creative. Sometimes I just want to say,
Yeah.
get creative. Like, this
Oh,
has been done so many times. Find another way to discriminate against people. This is just tired.
exactly.
It's
And so,
unoriginal.
yes, yeah, I know. It's like it's getting old, right? But if it isn't clear, right, for most people, that share with me, like, what would you say are like the top three or the top five patterns, right, that are seen
Mhm.
for example, Black women in STEM, right, or in
Mhm.
engineering
Mhm.
and science, as
Mhm.
they begin their career, try to advance in their careers, right?
Mhm.
And maybe decide to exit, like what causes it. So what do you see are some repetitive
Mhm.
circumstances or experiences that, to frame the why of Be Wise, right?
Mhm.
In like
Mhm.
concrete lived experiences.
I think it's the mindset, right? And I've talked to people at length about this, and it's not just limited to Black women or Latina women. It's lack of confidence. You see people talk about this imposter syndrome, which I don't like because it puts the onus back on me. I'm not feeling this way because now some people are, but in general, I'm not feeling that I'm less competent or capable of doing these things because I failed at things. It's because you're making me feel this way, right?
Right.
You're diminishing my efforts. You're not speaking. You're speaking over me in meetings. You're doing things to make me feel this way. So why am I the imposter? You're the imposer. I'm not the imposter. You're the imposer. So that's one of the main things, as you said, that I see people still just don't have the confidence to speak up. The second one, I'll speak specifically to Black women because I'm not sure if it pertains to other folks, is Black women are corporate housekeepers. And what I mean by that is when there's something, a birthday to celebrate, a retirement party to celebrate, or oh my gosh, we're going to decorate the offices. It's always a Black woman coordinating things like that, regardless of what your level is. And I said, have you noticed you don't see a lot of white males? I'm going to arrange the celebration of Ed's retirement party. And so what that does is that puts you like, let her do it. Let her do that type of stuff. And when you're not doing the strategic type work, right? Because that's going to take away, right? If you're working on coordinating the birthday party for Sami, then obviously you're not working, or maybe you're not at the meeting talking about strategic things. And so I tell people both on our side as Black women, we have got to stop volunteering for this corporate housekeeping. Don't do it. Don't do it. If you've got an intern, let the intern do it. I'm not doing, I have a whole engineering degree. I am not about to coordinate your birthday party. I'm sorry, right? I've got to be in these strategic meetings where they're making decisions about the corporation, right? So that's on, and then on the other people's side, stop asking us to do these things, right? If you didn't invite us to the corporate meeting, if you didn't invite us to work on this very strategic project, don't ask me to work on that. You do it. Do it. So those are the two things that I say I think are prevalent. I see a lot of folks, doing those things, and it seems small. But what it does over time, you don't have the appearance of a leader, right? When we think of leaders, we think of folks who take charge and go in and get these things done. And I say all the time, and I've experienced this in my career, kindness is seen as a weakness. It's just no other way to put it, right? Oh, I'll do it. I'll help. At the end of your review, nobody says, oh my God, Sami, you were so strategic in that. They're like, well, she doesn't seem to be focused on getting her work because she's helping everybody else. And we've got to stop doing that. We have got to stop doing that. So, I don't advocate for folks being jerks or being mean or whatever. And there's really, one day I'm going to write this book called The Walking a Tightrope, because certainly for Black women, it's a thin line. I can't be too aggressive, but then I can't be a pushover because they're like, she never speaks up for herself. So it is a very thin line that we have to walk in order to be successful. And you see the ones that you see have been successful, the handful of ones that you've seen, they've had someone mentoring and guiding them on how to do that. And then they've also had sponsors who said, okay, I see you figured it out. Now it's time to, put you in the game. And so that's really, important. Those three things for sure.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, definitely. And it's learning how to say no. It's so funny because it's one of the first words that any child learns, right? And then we forget how to say no. No, I'm too busy, and there's valid reasons, right, to do that. But that's very powerful because I see that also in the Latino community, right? That the women, like the matriarchs, just take over, and they're expected to, handle that type of work. And why does it have to be that way? It only diminishes and distracts from where you're supposed to be going, right? And where you're headed. And so I agree with that. And about finding mentors too, sometimes it's just that we don't see ourselves and that's changing some now, thank God, right? Like we don't see ourselves in like the C-suite and stuff, right?
Mhm.
And I remember when I was in publishing, this is before I was a business owner. One of my mentors was a Jewish woman, right? She was
Mhm.
tough nails, right? And
Mhm.
then she called me one day. She's like, "Come over here." And I'm like, "What?" And she's like, "Keep your eye on the bottom line. That's all they care about, right?" Like what you said before at the beginning
Mhm.
of this
Mhm.
conversation, right?
Mhm.
That's
Mhm.
all they understand, right? White
Mhm.
males, right? Money
Mhm. Mhm.
and data. So
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, fine. She's like, know your numbers, know how to forecast, with accuracy. And I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
okay, right.
Mhm.
And so it's very interesting that that we're in these spaces, and it's like, where do you go? So it's
Mhm.
great to have this kind of organizations. You've been around for a while. It's been over 7 years now, right?
Oh
BWISE
yeah.
is,
Oh yeah.
yeah,
The people who, when this was just the idea and I was,
yeah,
running around trying to get people interested. And I just
yeah,
had a conversation the other day with, someone I've known since I've started BWise. And she was like, it's just amazing, to see.
yeah,
I said, the people who were with me in the very beginning,
yeah.
they knew when people were like, what is this? What are you
Yeah,
doing
it's like,
again?
has she lost her mind?
Yeah, like you're doing what? I said it's so interesting, and that's the feeling I want women to have, right? The feeling that I
Yeah.
have now, right? It's beneficial to me, of course, when when I was trying to get people's attention, nobody wanted to listen, and that we really did focus on women, right? So there was no huge effort to attract corporate attention at that time. But still, if someone asked me, and I would tell them, and I could just see their eyes kind of glaze over, like, okay, all right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To now, when I have Erica, do you think you have time to talk to me? Maybe I know I'm not worthy, but I would like to talk to you
Mm,
about such and such. And I was like, then I have to go back through my memory banks. Did you not follow up on a meeting we had? Did you not return my phone call? Because, I'm not trying to be, what's the word? You have to know your worth, number
yeah.
one. And then as a business person, you have to be mindful, like you said, of the bottom line. And for me, my bottom line is my time, right? If you
Mm,
didn't follow up with me 3 years ago and you've now
mm-hmm.
come back because things have gotten progressively worse at your organization, me talking to you, even for 5 minutes, is not a good use of my time. It's not.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So I
Yeah.
want folks, and I tell people, you are your own entity. Everybody's an entrepreneur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Erika Jefferson Incorporated, right? I've got to constantly be looking out. That's what's best for me from a financial standpoint, from whatever personal standpoint. And if things or entities or opportunities do not meet my return on investment, gotta go. And I think if
Yeah.
more people thought of things that way, yeah, you have
Yeah.
some charitable things. I do some charitable things, but if more people thought that way, we wouldn't have as many disappointments, right? Because you're like,
Yeah.
well, she was, kind of dismissive a couple years ago. Then why are you taking the call from her or him?
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
do it. And so,
Definitely.
yeah, that has been
De-
my learning. It is so funny, like I said, to evolve from, can't get arrested to now, oh, can you, speak to our leaders on this or whatever. And if it's certainly if it's someone that I've had no interaction with, I was like, well, let's talk. But
right.
certainly I don't go backwards. People who know me know I don't go
Yeah.
backwards. We had conversations about this. You had an opportunity to you had an opportunity to work with me before, and I've got to prioritize people who are serious. Not that I will never
Yeah.
work with you, that you're unworthy, but I can't put you
Mm.
ahead of other folks. I just can't do that.
Yes, exactly. Yes. And I just, you just gave me a pep talk, because I'm in a place right now where I'm just trying to be hyper focused, right?
Mm-hmm.
On the projects, and on working on meaningful work, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
then,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's very, very good advice. Thank you. I appreciate it. Listen, Erica, I feel like we can talk for days and days
Yes.
and
In
days.
days.
We need to have a repeat, yeah,
Part
soon.
two.
Yes, because this was so much fun. I think we'll just keep on following each other, and then when we
Yes.
find something that I'm like, oh my God, that's gonna be a great one. Let's just do this
Yes.
again. Does that sound like a deal?
Absolutely. That sounds like a
Okay,
deal. That sounds like a
Okay,
deal.
that's great. Listen, have a great rest of the week, and thank you so much for carving out time to have this conversation together. Okay,
And thank you for having me, and thank you for all the great work that you do as well.
likewise. This concludes this episode of I Have Something to Say. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to tell your friends about us. We're on Spotify and iTunes as well. There's more to come next week. And remember, if you have something to say, it's time to speak up.